Alrighty, here we go. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Hope everybody is feeling a little better today than we did yesterday. Kind of sounds weird. The Bears lost a game for the first time in 42 days. So definitely felt good to not lose for that long. But doesn't feel great right now that they have lost again. But still 4-3. Plenty to discuss here on today's show. So we will bring you guys the latest. The breaking news off the top, by the way, Shemar Turner, torn ACL, out for the year. So we will address that as the show goes on. Ben Johnson announcing that earlier today. Pat Finley with the tweet there. But lot to get into, Cullen, as kind of another expensive loss yesterday with more injuries. Dominic Robinson, high ankle sprain. Luther Burden in concussion protocol. So we'll see if they can get off the mat and bounce back.
Yeah, basically, I'm also here to announce that I will no longer be making any proclamations against any backup quarterback the Bears will go up against. Harry has reminded me a couple times here that I am the reason for Tyler Huntley's success yesterday. Therefore, I will just keep my mouth quiet about that. No, I'm just all playing. But, yeah, 4-game win streak ended yesterday. Stinks because ultimately you're kind of on a roll. We were saying it leading into the week last week, that with the assumption of Lamar Jackson playing, this would be a good kind of test for the Bears to see kind of how they would stack up against a team that, again, was fighting for their kind of somewhat playoff lives, was a really desperate team, and ultimately the Bears didn't give you the performance that you wanted yesterday against Tyler Huntley. And now, obviously with the Shemar Turner news and that would have you, the Bears got to, turn it around because they've got another AFC North opponent this week, so...
Yeah, I mean, you just got to flush this one, lock in on the details, and get ready for Cincinnati. I mean, that's all you can do. We were hoping for a split in these two games. I mean, you're hoping to win every game, but I think we would have taken a split. That is still out there for Chicago, so we'll see if they can pull that off. But certainly a disappointing result and outcome yesterday. So let us know where you guys are tuning in from. We got Bear Down from H-Town, obviously in Houston there. Maxwell and Thornton. We got Twinquist in Melbourne, Florida. Huntingburg, Indiana is where Caden Luttrell is watching. Let's see. Seeing a trade for Riley Moss in the chat. I'm not sure if he's actually available. I know our Broncos guy has mentioned that could be a possibility, but yeah, I'm not sure that is actually the case. Aaron in Orlando. What's up with Booker? Booker's being activated. Ben Johnson said they're going to activate him today. Not that they weren't going to, but I think after the injuries yesterday, I mean, pretty much have no choice, even if there was any doubt. So Austin Booker, not only is he activated, Cullen, he instantly becomes your third edge rusher because Dominic Robinson, they said, is going to miss at least a couple games. So, Montez Sweat, the glorious Dio Adengbo, and Austin Booker are really your only three edge rushers. I mean, you have Daniel Hardy, but he doesn't play a ton on defense. So even with Booker getting into the mix now, you're pretty thin there as well. So you're thin at edge, you're thin at corner. You're getting beat up, man. And we'll see if they make any roster moves to address either of those positions.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see. I think ultimately if a team really does make a trade, I thought there were going to be more moves today, if I'm being completely honest. We'll talk about the Titans trade they made with the Rams later in the show, but to me it seems like in these next 24-ish hours or so, because you want to get guys in and, try to get them acclimated to your team as quickly as possible. Obviously, we'll see some deadline moves and everything, but I really expect by the end of tomorrow, if there is going to be any trades this week, it'll happen by the end of day Tuesday. So, and will the Bears be part of it? We'll see, but yeah, that's what I would expect.
Yeah, I mean, your only edge on the practice squad, and he's more of a Daniel Hardy type. He's undersized, is Jamry Chroma. So, to know Passanio signed with the Colts practice squad today, I mean, do you call him up and hey, we'll put you back on the 53. You want to come back? I know this is kind of awkward, but yeah, that's not great on that front either. Unfortunately for the Bears. Okay, Ben with the super chat. We need a corner bad. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins will eat us alive if not. Yeah, I'm worried about those matchups. Even if you add a corner, I'm worried because, Jamar's probably the best in the game right now. T. Higgins is one of, if not the best number twos. Joe Flacco, while he's, old and has some flaws, One thing he has proven since going to Cincinnati is he will pepper Jamar Chase with pretty decent efficiency. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be a challenge regardless. But I don't want to see Nick McLeod and Jalen Jones, on Jamar Chase if I can avoid it. So, see if they add someone. We'll see if Tyreek Stevenson comes back. That would be a huge lift. But yeah, that doesn't sound fun heading into this matchup. I will say that.
Yeah, and the thing is and you kind of talked about it briefly on the video we put out this morning, which by the way, if you haven't gone and seen it, be sure to check it out. To me, the Bears are in kind of this precarious spot because on one hand, yes, you outlined the corners that went against the Ravens this past week against the Ravens. If I'm the Bears, though, I'm not necessarily looking to invest in a long-term option at corner. It's more of kind of a stopgap position for the rest of the season because you mentioned it. Jalen Johnson will eventually return. Kyler Gordon will eventually return, both at different times, obviously. You drafted Zay Frazier, who you're hoping will, rejoin the team at some point. Terrell Smith coming off the ACL.
Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah, all of this.
You got all these guys under contracts. Yeah, I mean, most of the guys I mentioned on that video, maybe all of them, they're all rentals. They're all in the final year of the contract. And Roger McCreary, who got traded today for a 5th and 6th round pick swap, I mean, if you can pull off that type of trade for anyone I mentioned in the show, I think I would do that pretty quickly because, you're not giving up that much. You're keeping the same volume of picks, but you're bringing in a player at a position of need to help you get through this season. So we'll see if they're proactive. 8 days until the NFL trade deadline. Speaking of which, should the Bears trade for a cornerback? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Again, you don't want to break the bank to do it, but any of these rentals that have been linked to trades, you're talking about a late-round pick or some kind of pick swap. So I would be scouring the market pretty hard if I was Ryan Poles and the fellas. So we'll see if they do. We'll see if they don't. This is the poll question in the live chat as well, so go vote right there.
Yeah, 86%, 85% roughly saying yes. Look, I think you just have gotten to the point now where, it was so funny. Leading up into the season, probably about the first 4 games-ish, you were thinking, all right, you're going to add either an edge or running back. And then really just kind of over the last month or so, cornerback has become such a desperate need for the Bears. And obviously, injuries have a large part in dealing with that. And look, I mean, there's cornerbacks out there. We highlighted 5 in this morning's video. Obviously, Roger McCreary got dealt to the Los Angeles Rams. There's still guys out there. Do you go after Alontae Taylor? Do you go after a Reek Woolen? Do you go after Rasul Douglas? Do you go after a guy maybe in free agency and a guy like Asante Samuel, who we still haven't really heard an update on? I mean, there's options out there, though, if you're the Bears.
Yeah, no question about it. So maybe not great options, maybe not save the season options, but they give you depth and they elevate the floor of the room, which is honestly just what you need right now. Okay, ATG, did you see Flacco's day-to-day? Yeah, Flacco, Trey Hendrickson, both day-to-day. Right now, according to Zach Taylor. And you also wonder how Cincinnati responds, Colin. I mean, is this a galvanize the troops moment after losing to the Jets, or is this a kind of I think the Bears kind of have a chance to send them to their funeral. I mean, you beat them this week and they're done. Like, they're completely out of the mix. I mean, the Ravens at 2-5 are already the betting favorite in the AFC North. And I do want to mention that as well. Don't get me wrong. Like, the Bears missed opportunities yesterday. But you watch. The Ravens are going to win that division. Like, I'll call it here today. The Ravens are going to win the NFC North. I tried telling y'all during the week. They played well defensively against the Rams. They're 30th in every category. Well, it's about what you're doing right here and now. They were good against the Rams despite the offense going 3 and out and turning the ball all day. And they got 2 key players back in Roquan and Kyle Hamilton. So, listen, you missed opportunities. No one's saying you didn't, but this was not the Ravens the first few weeks of the year that were giving up 35 a game. Like, they seemingly have turned a corner defensively here. And, it's unfortunate you didn't take advantage of going up against Tyler Huntley, but I think we're going to look back and be like, maybe that loss wasn't, like, as catastrophic as it felt in the moment. So, and by the way, we're going to get into this, Ben Johnson, pretty positive about Caleb Williams today. And I tried saying it yesterday. Outside of the pick, I thought he played better than he had the last couple of weeks. I think people thought I was on crazy pills. I also said it needs to be better, but I don't know. I think the fan base is going to be a little a little kind of befuddled here. Do we trust? Do we just say the popular thing on social media? Do we trust the coach that we swear we trust? It's going to be interesting. Obviously, he's got to play better, but I mean, we were saying it in real time before the pick. Like, yeah, they haven't finished drives, but like, it's really only been a couple plays that are like, okay, that was a bad play. Like, I felt like he was doing a better job, getting back to the check down when necessary, not taking too many negative plays, not trying to do too much. Obviously, toward the end, it gets kind of wonky and he starts running around, but it's got to be better. No one's saying it doesn't, but I don't think yesterday was some disastrous performance from start to finish.
Yeah, just a couple things on that. I think very true that, that pick wasn't great. He needs to be better. We all agree that he needs to be better. Ben Johnson, we'll get into those quotes. I know, Harry, you're going to do your kind of keys to victory / things you're kind of looking for later this week. Mine, clearly, at least for me, is Caleb has got to build, or at least begin to build rapport consistently with other guys other than Rome Odunze.
That's a good point.
Like Rome Odunze and him, they clearly have a connection. Obviously, Rome's been off to a hot start. He had a really good game yesterday. DJ Moore, it's been up and down. Colston Loveland, we haven't really seen much. Luther Burden had that one explosive game. Outside of that, not so much.
I feel like when he throws to Loveland, good things happen. They're just not throwing to him.
I don't know if it's
I kind of wonder if he's the guy that, the second half of the year, like we look back and it's like, okay, at the end of the season, Rome 1, Loveland 2.
Maybe.
Like, I want to see that. He was a first-round pick. And B, when they throw his way, he seems to make things happen. So I'm with you, though. Like, he at least has to find who's that second guy. I mean, he seems to throw to Zacchaeus, but it's all like there's no explosives there.
Right.
Like, it's all just like, okay, we appreciate you. You're a safety valve. There's value in that. But, like, who out of these other, like, talented guys becomes that other player that emerges with Caleb? Because they got to figure out who that is. And it doesn't have to be the same guy every week, but they need someone to, on a more consistent basis, emerge as that secondary weapon.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, you would like / need it to be DJ, but I mean, maybe he's not here long term. So maybe it's better if it is someone else. Maybe after Luther gets out of the concussion protocol, they play him more. Maybe he's that guy. Maybe it's Colston Loveland, who they took number 10 overall. Maybe it is DJ. I don't really care who it is, but I think it's a good point by you that when they throw to Rome, usually it's good. Sometimes Caleb will miss. Sometimes Rome will have like his patented one play per game where you're like, I should have made that one, and he didn't. For the most part, that looks good. The other stuff with the other guys, they need to get more out of.
100%. And, look, I don't know if that's a Caleb, getting some extra reps at the practice thing, or if that's been maybe scheming some more guys open, whatever the case may be. One last point, though, on the Ravens, to your point of like, hey, this is a really good team that they just went up against. John Harbaugh, did you see the stat of him off a bye, what his record is?
I don't know. I knew it was really good heading into this game, though.
14-3 after yesterday's win. Yeah. So, look, he's a really good coach. And, again, yes, you were going up against Tyler Huntley. No one's making a mistake, but
I thought they outcoached the Bears pretty significantly.
Yeah.
I mean, they won in all three phases. When you lose in all three phases, coaching plays a role in that. When it's back and forth 50-50, it's like, okay, maybe it came down to a mistake here and there. I think the Bears got outcoached pretty significantly yesterday. So it was a full team effort loss in all areas. Twinquist had high hopes for Domrod, but damn, can't stay on the field. I'm trying to think if he's had injury issues before, but you know what's funny? You could argue he's been your second best defensive end this year. For sure as a pass rusher after Montez Sweat. I mean, that's how rough Dio Adangbo's been. Obviously, Booker's been on IR. So, yeah, that's a bummer, man. That's a bummer. And he got hurt on the first play of the game on a fucking kickoff. Yeah. I mean, just to add salt to the wound to the special teams issues, Colin, you lose a somewhat productive player on the first kickoff. I mean, just brutal, man. So, sucks for him because he, feels like he's finally having at least a mini breakout in year 4. And now he's going to be shelved for a few weeks. So hopefully he can avoid short-term IR, but we'll see.
He played 17 games his rookie year, and then since then he's played 11, 6, and this year 7.
Well, that's a lot of inactives.
Inactives,
healthy scratches.
But just, full picture and all that.
Sitch. Yep. We got Sitch here at best. Caleb is not as good as his peers now. A miss. Grady, Dio, awful. The advanced numbers actually show Grady played pretty well yesterday. I may have to rewatch on that, but yeah, Dio has not given you much at all. Poles needs to go. Can't evaluate. Completely and utterly incompetent GM. Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about this yesterday. If every week we're going to say, look at Drake May, we can do that, but that doesn't really change anything in terms of like the right now. Like, yeah, big picture, as years go by, maybe we look back and be like, what a mistake that was to not even take Drake May seriously. And I think we could acknowledge that was at least a mistake to not bring him in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty arrogant by the
Right.
GM. But at the same time, I mean, what do you want to do? Build a time machine and go back? Like, you can't do that. So you got to focus on what you have now and continue to build this thing with Caleb Williams and hope he continues to improve and turn a corner. When it's all said and done, we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, it certainly doesn't help when Jaden has the year he had last year and Drake has the year he had this year. But I do think it's worth mentioning too that does kind of go to show like it can change. Like, who coming into this year would have said Drake May would have by far been the best out of that class this year? I don't know if anyone would have said that. People were high on him, but I don't know if people would have had him as an MVP candidate. If someone said, hey, a second-year quarterback is going to be an MVP candidate, they would have said Jaden Daniels. So things can change, but yeah, clearly when you add it all up, Caleb's behind those two right now. So, but if every week the conversation is just comparing to May or any other quarterback, like, I don't find that productive during the season. Like, to me, those are like off-season things. Like, where do things sit through 2 seasons? Like, that's good content. I'm focused on how can Caleb play better next week? Like, how can he continue to improve? How can we evaluate and find out if he can be the guy for the Chicago Bears moving forward? Because Drake May, they don't have access to him. That's over with. Like, you're not going to get Drake May. So bringing him up, like, yeah, I get it. We can compare, and they're always going to be compared, but it doesn't really help you right now. Like, it doesn't change anything. So, the only thing that's relevant in bringing up is when evaluating the GM. Like, that, and that is a relevant talking point, and it was arrogant as hell. So, I'm with you guys. I don't think Poles really did anything to earn an extension. We've already been through that. So all you can do is work with what you got, and this is where it is right now. So we'll see if it gets better.
Yeah, I'm not even paying attention to the Caleb Drake part of it, or Jaden Daniels or Bo Nix or whichever quarterback you want to throw in there. The one thing that could be interesting, and again, maybe it'd have to be in a severe kind of just deadish time, or maybe like, maybe a later point, because I don't know if you do it in the middle of the season, but to your point, like, do a check-in based on Ryan Poles' moves and just kind of see where, we stand with them. And in terms of like draft picks, it doesn't have to be every single draft pick, but like high-value draft picks maybe in the first 2 days, free agent signings, any trades you've made, and just kind of see where those moves have stacked up so far. And
I mean, we kind of did it after week 2.
A little bit, yeah.
And it hasn't been pretty. Now, since then, some guys have stepped up. Like, Tyreek's had a really nice stretch here. Like, there's been instances of it. But, yeah, I mean, I'd say it's been, from a player acquisition standpoint, it has not been good enough. And that's in really all areas. I mean, look, to his credit, the offensive line, I think this is big Ben Johnson influence. Other than left tackle, and I guess we'll see on Ozzie, so a bit of a mixed bag. But the guys they brought in, that interior is rock solid. Darnell continues to progress at right tackle. So they did a pretty good job of rebuilding the offensive line in one offseason. Now it's not perfect. It's not complete. In all likelihood, left tackle is still going to be a position to monitor long term. But that one looks pretty good. Defensive line, not so much. And they have put a lot of money into that unit. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. 2 Z-Berry Productions, I should say. The Bears have Johnson, Stevenson, Gordon, Terrell Smith under contract through 26. No reason to trade away a pick for a corner. Free agents are available. Sure. Is Stephon Gilmore in shape? Has Asante Samuel passed a medical check?
James Bradbury.
Is James Bradbury a guy we want to bring in? Like, yeah, there's always guys available, but, like, what are those guys providing? If you told me Asante Samuel's healthy, in shape, cleared a medical check, I'd sign him. I've heard no update. I'm waiting. Like, they said it'd be mid-October. He'd have a medical check. There's been no update. It's almost Halloween. So I hear you, Z-Berry, but, like, Also, free agents at this point in the season, what's the difference in random free agent and Nick McLeod? Well, at least Nick McLeod's been playing every week.
He knows the system.
Yeah, he's probably a better option. So, yeah. I hear you. You don't want to give away capital. But, again, if it's like the McCreary pick swap, you're not – I think that's worth it as long as you're not doing anything reckless. Okay, the fellas – I really like Caleb Williams, but whenever we get into the red zone, he fades away. And I know he's a younger guy, but need to see it more leadership. Well, I don't know if red zone woes are a leadership issue, but sure. But yes, in general, the red zone has been a disaster. We're going to outline that on today's show. It's actually astonishing, Cullen. Weeks 1 to 3, and then weeks 4 to now, how big of a drop off? Because if I told you this, you wouldn't believe me, but the first 3 weeks of the season, they were excellent in the red zone. I think there's multiple issues for why they haven't been as good in the red zone. One, penalties. They have had a lot of pre-snap penalties in the red zone. They had that snap stuff going on in that one game.
Against the Saints, yeah.
I thought Ben had a weird call in this last game on the first drive. I think it's been a combination of things, and Caleb probably hasn't executed as well as he needs to down there. So that's why I'm not jumping off the cliff either, Colin. If they just get back to being better in the red zone, I think these conversations are a lot different. I'll just give a little teaser. They are 5 for 16 in touchdown rate their last 16 red zone trips. If you're 9 for 16 even, which is middle of the pack, I think the conversation's a lot different because you're scoring more points. Caleb has more touchdowns. So it's just the little things. The little things right now are holding this team back. If they clean up the little things, they can go from being an average to slightly above average team to being a pretty good team, I think. Now, you've got a lot of injuries. There are things you're going to have to overcome still, but I think a lot of this stuff is in your control. Yeah. So now that doesn't mean you're going to score every time. The defense gets paid too, but 5 for 16 in the red zone is abysmal. That would be worse in the league if that was your season numbers. Right. So they got to get back to at least being middle of the road there.
I don't know the exact stat on this, and I don't know exactly. It may have been the Washington game where they kind of went to more of the wide zone kind of aspect of it. I'm really curious to know how much of that has played an effect on maybe their red zone offense, because when you get inside the red zone, obviously you need to be able to run in between the tackles and really have an effective inside running game because you're so close and, again, it's such tight quarters and everything. You're not going to be able to, run toss plays in the red zone and be effective as consistently. Not saying that that's what the Bears do, but they've been a better running team as of late. They weren't the greatest running team against the Ravens, but I think teams just also have to be able to respect you running inside for you to be an effective red zone team. And I'm very curious to know what the Bears' numbers, since they've kind of switched schemes, what that's been like.
That's a good question. They also don't, especially without Roschon Johnson, they don't really have that thumper. I mean, Monungai's he's got good contact balance and he's physical, but he's 5'8", 210 or whatever. It's not like he's 225, so you don't have that guy that you can just hammer inside the 5 necessarily. I think Swift's done a decent job of sticking his nose in there, but he's not running defensive linemen over. He's not dragging defenders. So, it gets more congested out there. The windows tighten up. I think, honestly, that's where, a Colston Loveland has to come in. You got a 6'6" tight end. Honestly, split them out wide. I'm not a big fan of, the goal line fades, but you get a matchup you like, throw a back shoulder to him, against a smaller corner. Rome Odunze should be a guy in the red zone that eats. So I think they can find some matchups that they can create more success with. So if they can just get back to being better in the red zone, I think a lot of these talking points and narratives change when it comes to the quarterback. I mean, if you finish 2 of those drives and he, say it throws for a touchdown and, Swift peppers in another one, not only is the game different, but the stat line is different. Everything is different. So, sometimes it comes down to a handful of plays and you either make them or you don't. And I think on Sunday, the Ravens in the big spots were clearly the better team.
Yeah. And again, I know we appreciate Ben Johnson. We respect him as an offensive mind. There's at least a player or two yesterday inside the red zone. Played him a nun guy. The outside
shotgun stretch run, 2nd and goal at the 3. It's not his skill set really. It's not. It was. I think that's way too slow developing inside the 5. Like, to me, you need like a quick play there. I think it's fair to say, like, listen, Ben is not immune to criticism. Like, I bet behind closed doors he would say, I probably didn't have my best stuff yesterday. And that's okay. He's not going to call a perfect game every time. At the end of the day, though, if you're asking me, like, is Ben the problem or is the lack of the execution the bigger problem? I would say the latter is the bigger problem. But there were a few plays yesterday that I was scratching my head. That being said, you're never going to pitch a perfect game as a play caller. So, I don't think he's like the primary reason for some of those struggles. But at the same time, didn't think he was great yesterday. Okay, let's keep rolling through these. Z. Barry, Grady Jarrett played well. Defensive tackle's not the issue. Dial played 92% of snaps. Ryan Poles is forcing Dennis Allen to try and develop Dial. Well, to that last point, I don't think Ryan Poles is telling Dennis Allen play Dio every snap. Like Ryan Poles brings guys in there, probably with discussion with the staff and other front office members, but I don't think he's controlling the rotations. Now, when you pay guys more, you're going to give them more opportunities. Like, hey, we need this guy to produce. But, yeah, he's a slow, rugged edge that's decent against the run, although yesterday I thought there were multiple cases he did not set the edge. And he has no pass rush arsenal. He only has a bull rush, and it's very slow. Very slow. Listen, that's been a bad signing. Let's just call a spade a spade.
It is. By the way, I'm laughing at something in Short Social that you should definitely look at. But to the point, Dayo Odeyingbo has not been good. It's not been good. Look, you signed him to a 3-year deal worth a lot of money, and he just simply hasn't been not only your second best pass rusher. I mean, he hasn't been.
Talking about this Downey one. Our Cowboys host is firing Matt Eberflus now. Feels good. I don't have to do that anymore. Sorry, keep going.
No, but I would just, to be honest, he's not even, playing at a rotational level at this point. I mean, we'll show you his stats later on in the show. He's been awful. And I kind of made this point, I forget how many weeks ago. To me, if you're into your rookie contract in the NFL and you're in the free agency pool and you're saying as a GM, okay, we're going to bank on his upside, to be honest, I feel like that's a bad practice. Because at this point, again, some players, if they're in a better scheme, sure, you can maybe get more out of them. Dayo Odeyingbo really didn't have the level of production worthy of his contract that the Bears gave him. And you were banking on his upside, and so far, again, it's early, it has just not worked out.
Look, if you wanted to sign him to like a 1+1, like a 2 for 25 with 13 guaranteed and kind of take a swing, sure. Now, maybe he says no and signs elsewhere. Let someone else sign him to 3 for 48. Like, that's not – we understand in free agency you're typically going to overspend. You don't have to guarantee 2 full years. Guys, they're stuck with him through next year. There's nothing they can do. I mean, they can cut him, but it helps zero financially. And at least, like, I'd rather have him on the team than cut him and save zero because, he's an NFL quality player. Like, he's not like the worst player in the league or anything like that, but for his contract, it's a joke. I mean, I don't know. Is he playing like a $5 million player or something like that?
Like, to me, he's questionable as a rotational player at this point. Like,
well, I think the problem is they're much thinner at edge than defensive tackle. And when they signed him, they kind of sold us on this versatility aspect. I rarely see him kicked inside, if at all. And so, like, I think as a pass rusher, he's not effective off the edge. Maybe on the inside he would be, but they don't he can't find snaps on the inside. So he's just kind of just stuck in the mud trying to rush as this oversized edge rusher, and he's just not good at it. So it's brutal, man. It is brutal.
Nas says, did I get banned from making super chats? Nothing on our end.
Shouldn't be, Nas. Nas, if you DM me, by the way, I still haven't checked DMs. We'll get you taken care of with the jersey from yesterday.
Yes.
Assuming you're the same Nas.
Congratulations again, by the way.
All right, what else we got here? Jerry, 3 head coaches, 4 OCs in 18 months is the reason I'm not down on Caleb. But with that being said, he needs to play better. And crazy thing is that he can. Oh, he's definitely capable. I mean, people bring it up like Mitch. I mean, guys, we got to stop. For the number 1 overall pick, is he not as far along as we would like almost midway through year 2? Absolutely. Absolutely, that is true. And that is when you can, if you want to bring in the context of look at the guys who went after him. Yeah, totally valid. But, like, this is not a Mitch Trubisky situation. But Harrison, 2018, he almost won a playoff game. Yeah, it's one of the greatest defenses in the 21st century. Okay, like this, I think you put this version of Caleb Williams on that team. I don't know, NFC Championship. Like, if he was just like a game manager and occasionally made a big play like he does every single week, like on that team, who knows? Like, and again, I'm not trying to sell you on Caleb Williams as a top 10 franchise quarterback, but like, this is not a Mitch situation. Close your ears, Fields fans. This is not a Fields situation. Not saying he's going to be big time, but like, you're starting at a higher level than those two, in my opinion. If you want to disagree, you can disagree. But at the same time, yes, he does have to be better. He was the number 1 overall pick. We can raise the bar and the standard, but, you know, this is not – I mean, Mitch Trubisky is a bad backup in the NFL. I know Justin had a nice game this week against Cincinnati, and if Caleb doesn't against the Bengals, I'm sure I'll never hear the end of it, but he got benched and only played because Tyrod Taylor was injured, okay? And I'm happy for Justin. I thought what Woody Johnson said was total bullshit. You don't say that about a player as the owner of the team. But I don't think punting on Caleb Williams with the chaos of the rookie year that Jerry's mentioning and some of the ups and downs right now, I think it's way too early for that. Way too early for that. Okay, Marcus. Drake May beat Josh Allen. He also lost to Geno, but his 5-game win streak includes Carolina, the Browns, Titans, and Saints. Very impressive. Listen, he's balling out. Their schedule stinks, but he's balling out. He did beat Josh Allen. Thought he outplayed him as well. I'd be a complete and total homer to say that he hasn't been better than Caleb Williams by a wide margin. He's also been better than like 28
I was going to say
starters this year.
He's playing like a top 8 quarterback.
And that's top 8.
Top 8.
I think this year alone, he's playing like a top 5 quarterback, top 3.
Okay,
he's been unbelievable.
You're saying like I disrespected. You're saying like I disrespected the guy. Either way, he's top 5, top 8, whatever he is.
But I think that's kind of my point with like how well, like if you want to bring up May, sure, okay. If your expectation was for him to be an MVP candidate in year 2, did anyone see this coming? This level of play from Drake May. So you got to tip your cap, man. The guy's been awesome. Yeah, we'll see if it continues, especially when they have tougher games, which isn't for a while, by the way. I mean, the Patriots on their schedule alone might win 13 games. Yeah. So I wish the Bears had the Patriots schedule, but they don't. Bear down in Louisville. False starts in the red zone. Lack of tight end targets. Lack of consistent pass rush is frustrating to watch. Also, is there a world where DJ gets traded? If so, what can you get in return? I think there is a world. I think that world's this offseason. I don't think there's a world in the next 8 days. Especially now, Burden in the concussion protocol. I mean, you would think at most he'd miss a game, but still, you never know. I don't know what his value is right now. I mean, just vacuum. What is DJ Moore going for in a trade? 3rd?
If that.
4th? With his contract?
If that. With his contract and production and his age.
I mean, he's 28.
He's not. That's what I'm saying. You're paying for future him. Right, so you're getting ages 28, 29, 30.
I think there's a world where you could get a 3rd, but that's the max. I don't think you're getting more than that.
Yeah.
And if it's like a 4 or lower, I'd rather just keep him. And then if that same trade's on the table this offseason, you're ready to move him, shed some cap, then okay, so be it. But I don't think you're going to get enough back to justify. I mean, even if you lose the Bengals at 4-4, like I'd still probably rather keep them and try to salvage this season here and try to make a push. So see what happens. I'd be surprised. I don't think it's 0%, but I'd say it's less than 10% that they trade him before Tuesday. Probably less than 5.
If they had a secondary pass catching option that was thriving in this offense, again, Rome's clearly established himself as the wide receiver 1. I think we can all agree with that. Until I see a secondary target really emerge consistently, I mean, why would you trade him?
And you at least know, even if the production's down, he's going to make a few plays every game. Like he's. I mean, even last week he had 73 yards against the Ravens. I mean, I know that one at the end, that just insane fucking play was a good chunk of that, but. Yeah, he's still capable, obviously. ML, would it be worth signing Passanio off the Colts practice squad since we're so thin at edge? Yeah, I mean, is he pissed off at his exit here? I mean, if you're promising him a role at like a spot on the 53, would that convince him to return? He doesn't have to. He can say no. I think people think, oh, just sign this guy out the practice squad. Well, they don't have to do that. So I'd probably say yes. I mean, I don't know what other options are out there, so I don't know if that's possible. The Colts, Indy's just down the road, be an easy kind of move back for him. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure that'll happen, but they could certainly use another body off the edge there. Okay, Jamal, better pass rush helps whoever the corners are. Absolutely. And it's something I mentioned on that Dennis Allen video, Colin, that it is pretty remarkable the amount of interceptions they've had without a pass rush. I mean, you knew that level of play wasn't going to continue, especially when Kyler Gordon and Tyreek Stevenson didn't play. And we saw that on Sunday, even against a backup quarterback. You really only had one chance to pick off a ball, and Tremaine tipped it, and the timing was off with Kevin Byard, who was jumping the route. But, yeah, I mean, if you don't get after the quarterback, I mean, Tyler Huntley had all day. So it's not good.
Not to mention that, I mean, because then it forces you to blitz, and then when you get burned on the blitz like you did yesterday on that long Huntley run, then Dennis Allen kind of has to sit there and rethink, like, okay, well, I can't let that happen all day. So then he has to reset, play more coverage, and you can't really play coverage because you don't have the corners to play coverage, and then it's a snowball effect that just kind of keeps
the one time he blitzed the house, he got burned
Yeah.
on that. I don't know if you mentioned that on that Huntley. Yeah, Huntley. It wasn't a QB draw, but it kind of played out as one where they brought 6 and that crease opened up between the center and the right guard. I think that spooked Dennis a little bit. So, yeah, yesterday was kind of the perfect storm. Mike Haw, Bears are 31st in red zone pass attempts. Oh, the football more. Maybe that's the answer. I think one thing I would for sure emphasize, like if I'm Ben this week reviewing some of these red zone series, like I think yesterday was a good example. What were a couple just easy chunk plays on that opening drive? Couple bootlegs. Naked boot to the left, Colston Loveland. Naked boot to the right, Rome Odunze. Get Caleb on the move in the red zone. If he has room to run, he can run. If not, he's going to have like a 1-2 option. A guy in the flat, guy in the back of the end zone. Like it's an easy read, and it's, it's not a lot of like hardcore decision-making, tight window type of stuff. You do just straight drop backs. More times than not, you're going to have to squeeze one into a tight window in the red zone. So that is one thing I would implement immediately in the red zone package is more QB designed mobility. Not necessarily runs, but you could do that as well. But designed mobility from Caleb Williams when you get inside the 20, especially inside the 10. That is what I would say. Edixon, I'd take Caleb 15 to 20 yards out over 10 or less. So you're saying like he's better
when he's further away from the.
Yeah, when the window's tighten up. Yeah, I see that's true for if you're talking strictly red zone. That's true for most quarterbacks, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Creighton, can you pull up Jared Goff's first 9 starts? That's a 5-year veteran. Yeah, that's been a talking point. Mike Sanda pointed that out. This is actually 2022 with Ben Johnson. 21 was with Anthony Lynn. But yeah, there's been that. This is about the time when Goff took off with Ben. It took him 7 or 8 games where it was up and down, and then it took off. Now, it's not apples to apples. Caleb's a second-year player. He doesn't have skins on the wall like Goff had in LA. So you might have to require more patience. He's also just a different quarterback. Like Jared Goff is very predicated on timing, getting the ball out. He doesn't move around because he can't. So it's not apples to apples, but I do think it's an indicator that even a 6-year vet who had been to a Super Bowl and had high levels of success with one of the smartest offensive minds in the game in Sean McVay, even he took some time. So I do think there is a level of, well, maybe there's a moment it clicks and it takes off. We'll see. This would be a great opportunity for it to happen. The Bengals defense is reeling. We'll see if Trey Hendrickson plays. If he doesn't, I mean, you should go out there and put up some points. They move the ball every week. Can you finish drives? I mean, that's really the difference right now. They're not finishing these drives. They're kicking way too many field goals.
Yeah, we'll do more of a breakdown of the Bengals obviously later in the week. I'm expecting Caleb to have a Dallas Cowboys level of performance this week, and to be honest, like he needs to have one for his confidence sake, for the rest of the team's sake, for Ben's sake, all of it.
If they just drive down early and finish a drive, I think that will just give everyone a confidence boost. Like, okay, there's a touchdown early. let's build off that. I think yesterday, Colin, if one of those first 2 drives is a touchdown, I think they probably win that game. But it just like all of a sudden, man, we've dominated. It's 6-0. Boom. Baltimore puts a long drive to score. They go up 7-6, get a 3-and-out on defense. All of a sudden, you're like, what happened? We have dominated, and now we're down a point, and they have the ball back, and they get the ball to start the second half. Like, it just changed like that. It goes to show you just have to score touchdowns. You have to score touchdowns.
Yeah, you kick 2 field goals like you did yesterday on your first 2 drives. You're asking for other teams to not only get back in the game but really seize momentum.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. ATG used Roshan in red zone. Well, he was out yesterday. He was out with a back injury. So, I'd be open to getting him some carries inside the 5 if he's healthy, but I don't know if he will be. So, but yeah, if he's available, that's something I would consider. All right, appreciate all the super chats. We'll continue to answer some. Hit that like button. Thank you guys for being here. The like button helps us attract more Bears fans in here. It sends kind of a little alarm to YouTube, like, oh, this video is getting a lot of steam. Let's show it to more people. So let's get more Bears fans in here. Please hit that like button. We would greatly appreciate it. Here's what we got coming up on Chicago Bears Now, live on a non-victory Monday for the first time in over a month. So hopefully we get back on track this week. Some news and rumors from today. Shemar Turner out for the year with the torn ACL. Other injury updates. Ben Johnson spoke to the media, so want to hit on all of that. We will answer your questions, hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. And then 3 areas that I think are holding this team back and that need to be cleaned up if this team's going to kind of take that next step this season. So hopefully they can do so. I think it's kind of 3 things that would make a big difference, and I think a lot of it's in their control. So that's the positive news. So let's dive into it. It is Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. Here's what we got coming up on Chicago Bears Now. Ben Johnson sounds off on a few topics, the penalty issues, and Caleb Williams' performance against Baltimore. Will Ryan Poles make a move before the NFL trade deadline? The injuries are starting to pile up, so will that force action? And speaking of injuries, we have some new updates. Not good news for one of the Bears rookies, plus a couple other Bears players to take note of, and a couple Bengals players as the Bears get ready to move on to Cincinnati this week. So busy show here on the channel. Just want to take a second here and thank you guys so much. We crossed 136,000 subscribers during our watch party on Sunday. You guys are the best. Our next milestone's 137,000. So if you're new here or if you haven't quite taken the plunge by hitting that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. It's free. We don't charge anything. Give us a shot. Hopefully we won't let you down. Okay, Ben Johnson sounds off here on a Monday. He joined ESPN 1000 like he does every Monday. Then he had his press conference as well as he kind of followed up on the game yesterday, watching the tape, all of that stuff. Here's what he had to say regarding the penalty issues, which have been glaring all season long. He says, "We're here as coaches. We're going to help support these guys and be along with them. But it would go a long way if we just had a little bit more ownership in that locker room to take the bull by the horns so we do get this cleaned up." And one thing that I appreciate about Ben Johnson is he's not doing that in the media and not saying the same thing to his players from everything we've heard. He's very blunt. He's not going to hold back. Obviously, there's certain things you can't say publicly that you would say privately. We all understand the nuances there. But Matt Eberflus would never do something like that. And the bottom line of this is hey, yeah, maybe there's coaching things. Maybe at times they're asking them to do too much. But players got to take ownership of this too. Like, it's every week, way too many penalties. It's a problem. And yeah, there's a few BS calls a week. Welcome to the NFL in 2025. These officials suck. But a lot of these penalties are self-inflicted, pre-snap, not lining up properly, stupid holds on special teams and stuff like that. And that's what the players just got to say, hey, we got to cut this shit out, man. We got to cut this down. It's 9.1 penalties per game. It's way too many. You got to get that. I mean, ideally you're like 5 or less, but at least let's get it under 7. Can we cut 2 penalties out a game? That should not be too much to ask at this point in time, especially with the self-inflicted ones. I mean, we're 7 games in, 8 weeks in. It's got to cut down. It just has to cut down. Now, Ben Johnson also was asked to evaluate Caleb Williams because the sky was falling yesterday. All Bears fans wanted him benched. Not all of you guys, but a lot did. He said he played better this game than I think he did the previous 2. When you look at it, all 60 minutes, and I'm not saying it's perfect, I actually came away from watching the tape this morning encouraged that we took a step in the right direction here this week. I know for some people it's hard maybe to rationalize because the result wasn't there, but yeah, I saw tangible growth from him. He's working his ass off. I said this in real time during the game, and I get it. We all want to win. They're not finishing drives. 16 points against Baltimore yesterday, not enough. We all understand that. But outside of the interception, I thought for the most part, not every play, there were definitely a couple misfires. The third down to Rome in the first half, I would say at least one of the 2 intentional groundings was on him. The other one was a miscommunication with Colston Loveland upon further review. The interception was bad. You got to take the check down to Kyle Mononga. Ben Johnson said it. Hey, I would like him to take the check down there. We get that. Outside of that play, though, I thought he was clearly better than he was against the Saints. You could debate Washington. He made big plays against the Commanders when he had to. But honestly, I thought he was more consistent in this game. The accuracy reflects that. Getting back to the check down and not forcing the issue checks that. And look, it's, you got to finish. I've said it. You finish a couple of those drives in the red zone, it's a different conversation. Not only maybe is the result different, but the stat line's different. The talk around Caleb is different. But bottom line is, he did throw that interception. They didn't finish in the red zone for whatever reason. So he's got to wear it. But when Ben says, yeah, I thought he played better than the last 2 weeks, I kind of felt the same way yesterday. And, I didn't yell from the mountaintops at it because you had your 4-game win streak snapped and no one wants to hear about, the quarterback actually played better this week. But I think he's right when he says that. I felt the same way in real time. The problem is the big mistake he made was in a critical spot, and it was an absolute backbreaker. So that really screams loud when that type of play happens, obviously. Do you trust Ben Johnson? It's simple. Do you trust Ben Johnson? Type T for trust, D for don't. He's given me no reason not to up to this point. Didn't think he had his best game either yesterday. A couple of not great play calls and notable spots, but I have absolute trust in the head coach. All right, this guy not so much, but let's talk about Ryan Poles. NFL trade deadline coming up in just over a week. Will the Bears make a move? We've obviously talked about the cornerback position with the amount of injuries, and one of those corners I talked about came off the board today. The Titans and the Rams pulled off a pick swap. 5th round back to Tennessee, 6th rounder, and Roger McCreary, the nickel corner from Tennessee, going to the Rams. And I look at that trade and listen, I think sometimes as fans it's easy. It's like, why didn't we do that? Well, maybe they tried and they liked this offer better. Maybe, there could be factors. We don't know for sure. But I will say, I look at that and I'm like, I would have done that in a heartbeat. And again, maybe they tried. I don't know. But that seems like a pretty easy move. Roger McCreary's a rental. You get him for a day 3 pick swap. Let's go. Like, he's your nickel replacement until Kyler's back. And when Kyler's back, maybe you mix and match some. Maybe Kyler plays him outside. Maybe McCreary gives you a few snaps on the outside. He's really only a slot, but he's played a lot of ball in this league on his rookie contract. Can't do a pick swap. So that's a little frustrating. Doesn't mean they didn't try. Doesn't mean they're not going to make a move for another player, but you're pretty thin at that position, man. Like, you are down really, really key players. And, hopefully Stevenson's back soon, but Gordon's out at least 3 weeks. Who knows if Jalen's coming back. Terrell Smith's out for the year. Zay Frazier. Like, you need a piece back there. And, oh, by the way, you're pretty thin in your pass rush, too. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a second. But first, do have to tell you guys about our friends at Prize Picks. We appreciate Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep this season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's very easy to navigate the Prize Picks app, as you can toggle by sports and then specific stats as you start to make your lineups. You just pick more or less on stat projections for 2 to 6 player lineups, and if you hit, you win money. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter how you play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Little Monday action for you guys, keeping it simple. 2-player power play lineup. Marcus Mariota, longest rush, 11.5 yards. I took the more. He's going to use his legs tonight. And then Rashee Rice, more than 66.5 receiving yards. They're going to pepper him against that Commanders secondary. $20 lineup to win $60. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Okay, just to kind of re-emphasize this cornerback issue. Jalen out until at least December, maybe for the year. Kyler Gordon at least 3 more weeks. I've heard potentially longer. Tyreek Stevenson, I think there's a chance he could play this week. They didn't put him on short-term IR. That tells you they think he'll be back sooner rather than later. Terrell Smith out for the year. Zay Frazier out for the year. You're just down. I mean, all 5 of those guys would have made the roster, and none of them are available right now. You're starting corners this week. Where Nashawn Wright, who is like a journeyman, who has taken a step this year. He's played like an up and down, like I'd say a low-end CB2, but ideally he's a backup outside guy. Jalen Jones, who is a nice special teams player, but is not a very good corner. And Nick McLeod, who tries hard, but is just not very good. I mean, he's not a disaster, but he's just not very good. This team needs cornerback help right now. Not yesterday, or yes, yesterday, but not tomorrow, not next week, today. So if there's a trade out there similar to the Roger McCreary one, I'm not trying to force the issue and burn your draft picks, but if you can find a pick swap for someone who can suit up and play, I'd be looking to do that if I was Ryan Poles. Will Ryan Poles make a trade? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. He's never gone a trade deadline without making one, so we'll see if this year is different. But cornerback, potentially defensive line, which we'll get to. Yeah, those are a couple of areas. Okay, we'll start with the Bengals injury update. Zach Taylor saying that Joe Flacco with his shoulder and Trey Hendrickson with his hip, which was re-aggravated in Sunday's loss to the Jets, are day-to-day. Typically day-to-day, more often than not, those players are probably going to play. Part of it with Flacco could just be his age. I would imagine he's going to be fine. But we'll monitor it. I mean, Hendrickson did miss a game. He was a game-time decision this last week. That one could be more up in the air. I would expect Flacco out there, but we'll see on Hendrickson. And if he's not out there, the Bengals defense is really struggling. So should be a good opportunity for the Bears offense to get back on track and just kind of finish these drives that they're not finishing right now. Ben Johnson announced that Shemar Turner has torn his ACL. Pat Finley with the tweet there. Obviously not great. Has he contributed heavily this year? No, but it impacts your depth and obviously development of a young player you took in the second round. So that's obviously a bummer. Kevin Fishbane added this as well, that in addition to the Turner news, Ben Johnson announced that Dominic Robinson will miss a few weeks with a high ankle sprain. That's usually at least 2 weeks, if not up to 4. Short-term IR, I wouldn't completely rule out. And then Luther Burden is in the concussion protocol. So with Turner and Dominic Robinson down, you need some edge help. Well, you got one guy coming in. Austin Booker will be activated. Tomorrow was the deadline, so he's on the 53, which means that he has filled up your last roster spot. But again, Shemar Turner is going to go on IR, so you're going to have another roster spot open. So we'll see if another move's coming. Tano Passanio was signed to the Colts practice squad. Could the Bears try to poach him back onto the 53? They need another edge. I mean, right now, Booker's your third edge. Daniel Hardy's your 4. Booker hasn't played all year, and Hardy's really just a special teamer. So I would think they would want to potentially get another player in the mix at that defensive end position. We'll see if they do that. And that's already with the lack of cornerback depth as well. So your edge and corner groups are pretty hurt in terms of depth right now. Some other injuries to watch throughout the week. Tyreek Stevenson dealing with that shoulder. Hopefully he's able to strap up this week. We'll see where Cole Kmet's at with his back. Same with Roschon Johnson. We mentioned Burden in the protocol. Dom Rob's not playing at least this week, so probably multiple weeks. So that is where things sit for those guys as well. And just for this matchup, you really need Tyreek Stevenson back against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. If he's not out there and you don't make a move at corner, even if you do, it's going to be tough sledding. It's, if we think we're going to roll into Cincinnati and just win this game, I know they just lost the Jets. They beat the Steelers the week before. Joe Flacco's actually playing pretty decent ball right now. He's force-feeding Jamar Chase. You don't think he's going to force-feed him against the corners the Bears have right now? Of course he is. That is going to be a tall task regardless of who's out there. But if Tyreek can't go, Nick McLeod on Jamar Chase, Jalen Jones on Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, whew, that is going to be a challenge. All right. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We will continue to pump out content for you guys. Appreciate everybody, and bear down. We are so cursed. Hey, 4-3. This is not gonna be the start of a 10-game losing streak like last year. Should I do some kind of promise? If they lose 10 in a row, I will do something. They're not going to go from 4-2 to 4-12. I am very confident in that.
I mean, if you want to, it's up to you. But
I think people are spooked. Like, this is where it started last year. I don't think they're losing 10 in a row. That would be disappointing to say the least. Z Berry, those 5 injured unavailable corners are the Bears depth chart for 2026. Realistically, maybe they extend to Sean Wright. There's your 6 CBs. Yeah, I mean, that's why a lot of these options I've discussed have been rentals, right? Guys in the final year of their contract, bring them in for cheap, help you this year, let them walk in free agency. Might even, if they sign elsewhere for enough, you might even get a comp pick for them in the following draft. So, that's why I'm not scared to do a late round pick or a pick swap for Alontae Taylor or something like that. So,
I would agree. Z Berry, your other super chat we're actually going to use in our mailbag, which you could get in using hashtag Bears or super chat to get it on the mailbag that we're going to get into here in the next 5-10 minutes ish or so. So use hashtag Bears if you've got a potential trade target. Maybe you want Harry to discuss potential position battles, whatever it may be. Ask away.
How about this? This tweet courtesy of Scott Bair, who I think works for Marquee. Let me double check that. Yeah, Marquee. Fuel the conspiracy theorists out there. Per NFLpenalties.com, the Bears have been flagged 64 times for 533 yards. That is the second highest per game penalty count in the league. We already knew that part of it. How about this? Bears opponents have been flagged 36 times for 254 yards, second lowest per game in the league. Just interesting.
Just a little.
We know the Bears have self-inflicted penalties. Now, they also seemingly have a couple of games that seem bogus, but I do think the Bears have been undisciplined on a penalty front.
Mm-hmm.
But it is pretty remarkable that they're second in the league in penalties per game, and their opponents get the second fewest.
Yep.
So you're telling me every week their opponent's just playing clean ball? Pretty convenient. I mean, it's a large sample size. We're 7 games in. So.
Yeah, and look, you mentioned it, the refs are not the greatest in the year of 2025, but at the same time, there's just a lot of disciplinary issues that this team they just need to clean up, plain and simple. I mean, we are roughly halfway through the season, and you are still having some pre-snap issues that you're just they're drive killers. That's what they are. And I mean, you start to build momentum, and I don't care if you're Caleb Williams, Patrick Mahomes, or whoever the Vikings are starting at QB this week. If you have pre-snap penalties, they will kill drives and they will hamper momentum and all this stuff.
Penalties on kickoff returns, starting at the 32 versus the 17. Field position is the most underrated stat in the NFL, and we saw it play out. Colin, they pinned you back inside your 5. You have a false start, which was kind of phantom, but regardless, you're backed up, you turn the ball over, that basically wins the game for Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
You pin them back to the 1-yard line, you line up improperly, have to re-kick, they start at the 22 instead. It's a big fucking difference.
Yep.
You get Tyler Huntley backed up at the 1, maybe he makes a mistake. Mm-hmm. So the field position game is huge in this league, especially with the new kickoff rule. And they just got to get more out of their kickoffs, and they have to do a better job of covering kicks. I mean, it was just – I thought it was the most glaring part of the game yesterday in a lot of ways is how bad they got beat just on kickoff returns. I mean, I thought it was clear and obvious. So, all right, let's get into this mailbag. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat.
Can we get a couple more questions maybe?
Yeah, let's get a few more in there. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. I got to look something up real quick anyway. So,
yeah, fire in those questions. It could be, like I said, trade targets. Who do you think will be on this roster potentially in 2026 or not on this roster in 2026? Is there somebody that you think the Bears should, maybe give more snaps to, whatever the case may be, use hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get in on this mailbag.
Cardinals cut
Michael Carter. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Bam night season for Arizona.
Bam Knight and Amari DiMercato, welcome back.
Yes. Amari DiMercato fans, rejoice. Oh, there's a deal for you from Tyler Kendrick.
If they lose out, sure. If they lose that, I'll go. Not only what, I'll go full clean shave. I won't leave anything left.
I've never seen that.
Bookmark this. If the Bears lose out and go 4-13, this thing fully going away. Clean shaven, baby. I will do that. I will do that. All right, a couple more questions, and then
get into it.
We'll get into it. I know you guys have questions. Savage said he'd stop watching. You watch me just for the beard? Come on, bro. I am a beard guy, no question about it. Sir Dobbs says, I give a $100 super chat if they get more than 6 wins. I think they're getting more than 6. They're already at 4.
Nino says, go Bolt, too. That's funny.
Oof, I don't know if I could do that. Wifey may not be too happy with that one.
When's the last time
she wouldn't be happy with the beard either.
The
beard getting shaved.
When's the last time you've gone full clean shaven? Obviously, me, it was Saturday.
Been a few years, I would say. Been a few.
I just can't imagine you without a beard.
Just look at my Venmo.
Yeah, but that's also
like,
younger.
It's like 8 years ago. Yeah.
So I guess, but I mean.
All right, we got a few in there. We will get your questions answered. If you super chat, you'll jump to the front of the line. All right, hashtag Bears super chat. Let's freaking go. All right, here we go. Mailbag time. I'm Harrison Graham. It's time for a Chicago Bears Now mailbag from For the Bear. How long are we stuck with Dio Adengbo? He's been terrible. He's been bad. I mean, Dio Adengbo is not only has he not lived up to the contract, I mean, you could argue, like, is he even playing at a solid rotation role? I would say that's dicey at best. You're kind of stuck with him, man. So his cap hit next year, because remember, this year it's only $8 million. Next year it jumps up, and then in year 3 you can cut him with a limited dead cap penalty. But $20.5 million if you don't do anything with his contract next year. That's a big chunk of change. If you cut him before June 1st, it actually jumps to $22 million. You lose $1.5 million in savings. And then if you post June 1 cut him, you only save $3 million. So really, there's no advantage to cutting him. Now, if you can get a team to trade for him, that changes a little bit. Who the hell is trading for Dio Adengbo with his current contract? I would say absolutely nobody. You're stuck with him through next year. So you just got to hope and pray and cross your fingers and whatever rituals you do that he plays better than he has. Because up to this point, he's been a disaster. I mean, look at these numbers. He's just not a factor as a pass rusher. He's just not a factor as a pass rusher whatsoever. He had that sack in week 1, flashed a couple times like, oh, Dio Adengbo. Yeah, he's going up against a backup tackle. Since then, he's done nothing on the pass rush front. At times, he sets the edge, and I would say he is a decent to solid-ish run stopper. Most games, I did not think he was good against Baltimore in that regard. He's just not a very good player. And, shout out Cullen for saying this multiple times. When a guy after his rookie contract hits free agency and you sign him to bet on his upside, no. You take those chances in the draft sometimes. We've seen 4 years of him. There's no reason he should have gotten 3 years and $48 million with $32 million guaranteed. You want to sign him to like a 2-year for $25 with half it guaranteed, a 1+1. If it doesn't work, you cut him before year 2. That's one thing. And if you're saying, well, you probably wouldn't have gotten him then, okay, let someone else sign him to that contract. I mean, Dio Adengbo, for what he's making, is a bad football player. If he was making $6 million, okay, backup rotation edge, he's physical, can help in the run game, fine. But for what he's making, he's been a complete detriment to this defensive line. What has been, and I'm curious, Ryan Poles' worst signing I still think the Claypool move has probably been the worst one. But what has been the worst signing up to this point? I think there's only one signing that's been worse than Dio Adengbo, and Adengbo's only played 7 games. I would say that's Nate Davis. At least Adengbo suits up every week. But beyond that, it's about as bad as it gets. Now, small sample size, maybe he turns a corner, but it has not been pretty so far. All right, we got a super chat from Z-Berry Productions as we continue with your mailbag questions. The Bears are arguably one of the least effective short yardage teams in the league. Why not elevate Britton Brown for RB3? It's a good point. We've talked about this during games, like 3rd, 4th, and 1. I don't have a ton of confidence. And look, I think some of that is your lead runner is not a physical specimen from a physicality standpoint, DeAndre Swift. I think Kyle Monangai can help in those spots, but he's not like a tank necessarily. He's got good contact balance. That should be the Roschon Johnson role, but he can't stay healthy. They don't seem to execute QB sneaks well for whatever reason. So you got that issue going on as well. Britton Brown in the preseason, showed some ability to, drag through wimply tacklers, but I don't know, is Britton Brown the difference in that area? I think they just have to execute. And a lot of the times, too, in those 3rd, 4th, and 1s, they've had penalties, too, and then they have to change their mind on what they want to do. So, in general, they've got to get better in short yardage. DC Viper, do the Bears trade DJ or Kmet at the deadline, maybe for an edge or a cornerback? I'd be surprised. With Kmet, don't know his health status, don't know his trade value. DJ, we've kind of talked about it. Big contract. I don't know what his value is right now with his production being down. That seems really, both these guys seem more of like an offseason type of maneuver that you would do. Never say never. These are 2 guys I outlined before the season as a bold prediction. I thought one of these guys would be gone after this year. Could maybe both be gone. Maybe that's not off the table. But I would bet against either of them getting moved before the deadline at this point in time. All right, more questions to answer here on this mailbag, but today's show is sponsored by Ethos. If you want fast and easy life insurance, get going with Ethos today. Life insurance is one of the most important investments you can make in your family. Now with Ethos, you can get covered and protected in minutes with rates as low as $2 per day. Billed monthly, you can also get up to $3 million in coverage. As a husband and father, having life insurance is absolutely vital, and it's something I don't take lightly. Ethos is revolutionizing the insurance industry with a 100% online process and can provide protection for you and your loved ones. With Ethos, you can get life insurance in as little as 10 minutes. Ethos has no medical exams, just a few easy health questions online. Their 100% online and hassle-free process makes it easy to apply. You'll get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. Oh, by the way, as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. They are reliable. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 10 minutes at ethos.com/NFL daily. That's ethos.com/NFL daily. Application times may vary. Rates may vary as well. All right, hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Caleb Caldwell. Theo is a liability. It's been up and down. I mean, look, what can we really expect? He's a second-year undrafted player out of British Columbia in Canada. If he's serviceable, you'll take it. Now, am I saying he should be the long-term answer? You would have to see a lot more. I think left tackle is creeping up that list this offseason of, do we need a left tackle too? Do you move Darnell over there in the offseason, play Ozzie at right? Can Ozzie, with a full offseason, learn the left side? Hopefully that's the case, but I think Theo just, right now he is what he is. He's a young, developing player that has been a pleasant surprise in terms of going from not expected to make the team to now the starting left tackle, but no one's confusing him with Trent Williams. We'll just leave it at that. Tyler Kendrick, who is your dream trade target and most realistic trade target? Dream trade target. I mean, if I'm factoring everything with money, honestly, right now, I'm not really in the mode of making a big swing. I think in general, I would look to make 1 to 2 minor moves to add a corner and maybe a pass rusher. As fun as the Trey Hendrickson thing would be, A, he's hurt right now. B, You've invested a lot of money there. Are you a Trey Hendrickson away from being a big-time playoff team? That's probably a stretch. I would look to get help on the back end. Add a corner. If there's a cheap veteran edge rusher you can add for like a pick swap to help with this rotation, I'd be open to that as well. But I think as of this second, I'm not in the mode of making a big swing if I'm Ryan Poles. Subscribe to the channel. We do these live mailbags every Monday, Thursday, and game day. We take all your questions. We also publish daily content, videos, shorts. We go live, like I said, 3 days a week as well. Do not miss out. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. All right, Jared Myers. Would you rather trade for Chase Young or Taylor the corner? I think Alontae Taylor. Less risk. Chase Young, obviously, if he hits and is healthy, is a good player, but 3 years and $51 million for a guy who has injury history and some work ethic concerns on his resume. Alontae Taylor knows the system, shouldn't cost much. You need a corner. I think I would go with kind of the lower level play there right now. Big Dumper. Love it. Do you think Ben Johnson is going too hard at practice causing these injuries? It's hard to say. I mean, with under Eberflus, they didn't practice hard at all, and they were hurt all the time too. So maybe they need a new medical staff, training staff. They carried that over from last year. That's looking like a mistake. First-year head coach, maybe he didn't feel comfortable completely overhauling that whole group. But, a lot of soft tissue injuries in recent years for the Chicago Bears. So I think you got to build calluses in practice. You don't want to – this isn't 1980. You don't want to run Oklahoma drill every day. But I'm not a person who's in favor of once the season starts, we don't really practice that much or that hard. I think you got to pick your spots on when to still do it. All right, confidence level in beating the Bengals, scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being extremely. I'm mildly confident. I think this is a good spot to bounce back, but it's on the road. Your corners are decimated. They have really good receivers. So I'll say a 6.4 right now. Or no, 6.7. 6.7. That's my confidence level. Welke, Ryan Poles draft pick, still MIA, the real problem. Yeah, this year hadn't been great, man. I think Colston Loveland's a good player, but you're not getting enough out of him. Luther Burden, same thing. I'm a little more patient there because you're deep at receiver, but I want to see more, obviously. Shemar Turner's out for the year. Ozzie Trapillo's a backup, and they had like a package for him the other day where with an extra offensive lineman, fullback thing, and I think you can pick your spot in those situations, but I'm not sure any of those plays worked. So, Ruben Hippolyte's a healthy scratch. So far, not so good. I mean, you could argue, and this is crazy to say, you could argue, shout out Cullen, that Kyle Monangai has been the most productive rookie. Now, I would say you've gotten more out of Colston Loveland because he's been a big part of the blocking, but you didn't draft Colston Loveland to be an all-pro blocker. You drafted him to be a dynamic weapon that can also block, and you haven't gotten enough out of him. So, so far this draft has been pretty underwhelming. Bear down in Louisville, over-under for the game is set at 51.5, kind of low in my opinion. That's where Vegas gets you. That's where Vegas gets you. I haven't done a preview prediction yet, but 51.5, Bears 2.5-point favorite. So, they're saying like 27-24 basically is what they're saying. I mean, that kind of sounds, that could be on the number. Vegas knows, man. They know. All right. Appreciate everybody for submitting their questions. If we didn't get to you, we apologize. But conversation never stops. Hit me up on social media at HGramNFL, Twitter, Instagram. You know where to find me. DMs are open. Hit that follow button. Slide in the DMs. We could talk some Bears football. Okay. You got a way too early confidence meter here in this Bengals game?
Confidence, I'm probably a little lower just because I haven't seen them really put like a full game together. It feels like it's so long.
Bengals will be desperate too.
Yeah.
They're probably already in trouble after losing to the Jets, but they really you lose this, you're actually done.
I still think their offense is going up against a defense that, you want to talk about depleted.
Well, they're just not good.
Yeah.
I don't know what their injury situation is. They're just not good. I mean, they've been benching guys.
I was talking to our Jets host, Patrick Seaman, also does our Vikings channel, and I asked him, about the Bengals defense coming out of that game. He mentioned one guy in particular. Do you have any idea who that could be?
I don't know. Cam Taylor-Britt.
Cullen draft crush, if you remember. Got drafted by the Bengals.
Oh, the linebacker?
Yep.
Demetrius Knight. Is he playing well?
Apparently he was flying around. And again, I don't know his full season's worth, but, I mean, Logan Wilson, he's kind of on his way out.
You requested a trade, didn't you?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, you'll see what Trey Hendrickson looks like on Sunday, but they are just not – they're just not a good defense right now.
Their approach to fixing the defense was – drafting Shemar Turner, who needed a lot of development, and changing the defensive coordinators.
Yep, and pissing off our best defensive player. That was their solution. Yeah, shout out to Demetrius Knight. Okay, TJ, we'll get you up on screen. He says, if we miss the playoffs, who will people point fingers at more? Poles, Caleb, Ben, or other? It's a great poll question, to be honest.
What's that? Sorry.
If we miss the playoffs, who will people point fingers at more? Poles, Caleb, Ben, or other?
I would guess the most pointing will be at Poles and or Caleb.
Oh shoot! Gosh dang it!
I don't think Ben. I think Ben would be a distant third there. Just if I'm guessing what the fans would guess or say, I would say Caleb or Poles 1, 2.
Yeah, it's too early for Ben. To be honest, I don't think he's
Ben's
not the biggest problem.
He's done a good job. I mean,
yeah, I think it's there. You go. Yeah, and Caleb's had been up and down. To be honest, if I'm trying to be like objective as I can be, Poles to me has been by far the roster. Again, they improved some things. The offensive line significantly better. They obviously added more pass catching weapons. To be honest, the offensive line, looks good and everything. The pass catchers, they've got to be acclimated more.
Yeah. And look, I think there's talent there clearly. So that, I think Ben, Caleb, they carry some, not blame, but like they factor in there as well. But overall, I kind of agree. I mean, the defensive line's a joke, especially on the edge. Mm-hmm. I know Grady played a little better the other day, and I've defended that one to an extent, but the amount of money they gave Grady Jarrett, an aging player on the decline, too much. Dio Adengbo stinks. He's been here 4 years, and the D-line's never been good. I mean, that's pretty telling. It'd be a little rich. And now we have to see it play out and see how the next 10 go to why if they come up short. But I just don't think there's enough high-end players on this team.
Yeah.
It's something we've talked about. I think there's a lot of decent to good players. Now, Tremaine Evans has played better this year. Cool. TJ's playing well. He was playing well before.
Roma Dunze's taking a step.
Rome's taking a step. He hasn't taken that I'm him step, but he's good. He's a really nice, good player. He's got to tighten up on the little things to become a great player. Mm-hmm. Tim Levin, I think, poll 75, Caleb 25. That's probably fair. I mean, you need Caleb to certainly continue to he needs to take steps for this team to be a playoff team this year. If Caleb plays within the bubble of how he's played through 7 games, you're not going to make the playoffs. You got tough games on the back end. I don't think you're going to collapse here and go 5-12, but you're probably more like a 7-8 win team instead of a 10-11 win team, which will be required to make the playoffs. So, it's never down to just 3 people, obviously, but injuries enter the pie chart. I mean, over the course of 17 games, not having Jalen Johnson, that probably costs you a game somewhere. It just does. I mean, it's a $20 million player who's arguably the best defensive player on your team. The fact that they've had as much ball production on the back end without him is kind of miraculous. So,
to be honest, I don't know who the other argument would be for. I mean, I guess Kevin Byard's resurgence.
Byard this year, I'd still, Jalen, if you if you polled other GMs who is the most valuable player on the Bears defense, they would say Jalen Johnson primarily.
It's him and Joe Tooney. I know he didn't have the greatest game against the Ravens. I think those two are still best players by far.
Well, and I'm talking about the defense.
Defense, sure.
You might get a vote here and there for a Byard or one of the linebackers, but I think most people in the league circles would say Jalen Johnson. So that just adds up not having arguably your best player on the team and for sure on the defense. So a lot of injuries, man. It's a bummer. All right, one more segment to go, and then we are going to get out of here on Chicago Bears Now. There are 3 things right now. Actually, can you? No, I'm good. I'll get to this segment. I was going to ask for my charger, but I got 30%. We're good. All right, 3 things are holding the Bears back. Luckily, I think a lot of these can be cleaned up. Let's talk about it next. On today's show, 3 things are holding the Chicago Bears back. Can they fix them? I think they can, and if they do, this thing could look a whole lot better. We talk about it here on today's show. The Chicago Bears need to fix the little things and the details, which is something Ben Johnson has harped on since he has been here. We're going to talk about 3 areas that the Bears continue to come up short in, and if they can clean those up, then, I think they can win some games here and continue to build this thing moving forward. My name is Harrison Graham. Let's get to the first one. The obvious one that we can all see that someone with a low football IQ could understand is this team has way too many penalties. And listen, Scott Bear put out the stat on Twitter. I'll give him credit that the Bears are the 2nd most penalized team per game, and their opponents are the 2nd least penalized team. I do think they have been on the bad end of some ref luck, but I think we can also understand by watching these games, as they are 2nd in the NFL in penalties per game, there's way too many self-inflicted wounds. Yes, there's a few BS penalties per game that the Bears get clipped for. I watched games around the league. There's bad officiating everywhere. I do think the Bears have been on the wrong end of it. I'm not trying to say they haven't, but to just sit here and say that they are not responsible for a lot of these penalties, pre-snap stuff, not lining up right, silly holds, shot blocking on a kickoff or, a illegal low block. These are just technique things. These are things that, you're just taught in practice to not do, and they're doing them. And if they clean those up, which, again, self-inflicted, then, you cut these penalties down even just by 20%, you're going to be in a much better position, and especially offensively where these penalties are just killing a lot of these drives. It's hurting you in the red zone, which we'll get to here in a minute. Ben Johnson said on Monday regarding the penalty issues, he says, "We here as coaches, we're going to help support these guys and be along with them. But it would go a long way if we had just a little bit more ownership in that locker room to take the bull by the horns so we get this cleaned up." Number one, very refreshing. That accountability is a two-way street. Matt Eberflus never understood that, so that's good. But number 2, the players got to own this too. Everyone has a hand in these issues. Coaches, assistant coaches, players. Are they putting too much on the plate of players at times? There's blame to be had around, but I like that Ben's challenging these guys. Hey, vets on this team, guys who have been there. Let's grab this thing. Let's take ownership of it and let's fix it. Joe Tooney's not a super vocal guy, but this is where he's got to step up in that offensive line room and say, guys, we got to stop false starting. False starts, pre-snap stuff, a lot of it can be connected to the quarterback. Who doesn't have pre-snap penalties? Joe Tooney. He got clipped for one against the Ravens. He didn't move. It was a bad call. 0 penalties on the year outside of that. Every other offensive lineman has had pre-snap issues. So I'm not saying it's not on the quarterback and some of the cadence stuff, but the other guys got to take ownership too. Caleb certainly does. Ben does. Everyone does. Guys on defense, special teams, penalties left and right. Too many penalties. Look per game. Week 1, okay, first game in a new offense, somewhat understandable. 12 for 127 yards. Okay, big improvement week 2. 8 for 50. Not nearly as bad. Certainly Dallas, big improvement. If you were in that Dallas-Detroit range, it's still too many, but compared to what you've been in the other 4 games, 8 for 60 against the Raiders, 9 for 84. The alarming thing to me is coming out of the bye week. 9 for 84, 10 for 92, 11 for 79. You're averaging 10 penalties per game since the bye for about 85 yards. It's way too many. The Bears literally lined up wrong on a punt. Illegal formation on a punt, which, by the way, was a perfect punt down to the 1-yard line. What happens? The Ravens take the penalty, they re-kick, out of bounds at the 22. It's a 21-yard penalty. It can't happen. It gave them 2 first downs. 2 first downs because you didn't line up properly on a punt. Like that's inexcusable. Like, sometimes you're going to have a defensive pass interference. Sometimes you're going to get a tough roughing the passer call. There's certain things that you can live with. Lining up improperly on special teams is unacceptable. If you're on special teams, you're on the team because of special teams, not because you contribute heavily on offense or defense. That can't happen. Multiple false starts week after week, it's got to end. Of course, you're not going to be perfect, but you don't want to lead the league in these type of categories. And the Bears have been getting away with it for a few weeks now, and it bit them in the ass against Baltimore. It was too much to overcome when other things weren't going your way. Subscribe to the channel. We got coverage all year long here on Chicago Bears Now. The latest news, rumors, injury updates, trade buzz, and a whole lot more. If you want to join the movement here, hit that subscribe button. All right, 2 more key areas that I want to dive into when it comes to the Chicago Bears and what needs to be fixed. But first, we got to show some love to our awesome sponsor, Prize Picks. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather may be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's very user-friendly, the Prize Picks app. You can toggle by sports, and then you start selecting individual players and their stat projections. The way to set lineups, you pick 2 or more players, up to 6 players, choose more or less on their stat projections, and if you hit, you win money. A really cool feature on Prize Picks, and this is because they have your back, is injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half of a game and doesn't return, Prize Picks will not hold that against you. They will not count that as a loss. So, for example, I got a 3-player lineup for this upcoming week. Caleb Williams more than 230.5 passing yards. I took less on Chase Brown's rushing yards. He's been better recently, but the Bears have been pretty solid against the run. And then I took more on DeAndre Swift's rushing yards. If one of these players were to get hurt in the first half of the game and not return, that 3-player lineup turns into a 2-player lineup. So pretty cool feature with Prize Picks. They've got your back. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, from penalties to red zone woes, and some of that ties together, by the way. A lot of these drives getting stalled short is because you're having those self-inflicted penalties once you get into the red zone. Since week 3, so post-week 3, the Bears have been brutal in the red zone. And it's kind of crazy to think about it, but I remember it at the time. In the first 3 weeks, the Bears were excellent in the red zone. Look at the red zone effectiveness by game, and this is touchdown rate. So, you know, if you kick a field goal in the red zone, that doesn't count in this stat. Like against the Raiders, 1 for 4. They kicked, I think, 2 field goals and had a turnover in there, so that's why it's 1 for 4. But Vikings week 1, 2 for 2. Lions week 2, 2 for 2. Dallas, 2 for 3. Really good. 6 for 7 on 7 trips in the red zone the first 3 weeks. 6 touchdowns. 6-7, you know what I'm saying? Let's get back to that 6 for 7 range. Raiders week 4, 1 for 4. Too many field goals. Week 6 against Washington, 1 for 3. Too many field goals. Week 7 against the Saints, 2 for 6. Had to kick 4 field goals. Week 8 against Baltimore, 1 for 3. I think some of this conversation around Caleb Williams right now, that's starting to get a little loud, fair or not. If you're just better in the red zone like you were earlier in the year, I think the conversation shifts significantly. You're scoring more touchdowns. His overall stats look better. You feel better about where things are going. And, you know, that's why I'm not fully panicking on him right now, because we've seen them do well in the red zone. And what does that tell you? They're getting into the red zone. They just have to finish 11 for 23. That's just abysmal. And in the last four games, 5 for 16. They're down to 24th, 25th overall, 31.3% right there. If that was their season-long number, that's easily worse than the NFL. So for the past month, They have been the worst red zone offense in the league in terms of converting into touchdowns. You have to score touchdowns in this league, especially on the road. Especially on the road. Perfect example in Baltimore. You dominate the first quarter. You go straight down the field the opening drive. You get down to the 3-yard line. Weird stretch play to Kyle Monungai. Theo Benedict beat on third down, take a sack, got to kick a field goal. Okay, drive down again. I think technically that second possession didn't quite reach the end zone, but you stall out the 21. If you score even just one touchdown there and it's 10-0 instead of 6-0, the pressure really ramps up on Tyler Huntley. Really ramps up. But down 6-0, you're like, man, we've played like shit, talking about Baltimore here, and we put together one drive, we take the lead. Now the momentum and the pressure shifts, and that's exactly what happened. You have to take advantage when you get into the red zone and punch it in. You're not going to bat 1,000. 31% though, this isn't baseball. 315, you're not getting into the Hall of Fame in the NFL. Like, you got to be better in converting those into touchdowns. I'm not asking for 6 for 7, although that would be nice. But can we get back to middle of the pack? Can we get to, how about 55%, 60%? Let's be better than what they've been the last few weeks. If they're just 50% during this stretch, I think the conversation around the quarterback's a lot different, and that's just a few plays here and there. It's the little details that make a big difference in the NFL. And then lastly, special teams. There's been good moments, and I thought last week against the Saints was one of the better special teams games of the year for Richard Hightower's unit. But for a large portion of this season, not the whole unit necessarily, but kickoff returns and kickoff coverage in particular, they've been really bad. They don't get splash returns off, and Duvernay had that one on Sunday, and you crapped that opportunity away, so I'll give him that. But every other return was short of the 30, I believe, and you had multiple penalties on special teams. Josh Blackwell fumbled the ball once, was lucky to recover. They're just not winning in this area of the game, and field position is huge in the NFL, especially off kickoffs. That's why they moved the touchback from the 30 to the 35, because the data tells you even those just 5 yards make a substantial difference. That's why teams aren't kicking it out of the end zone anymore. And yet the Bears seemingly are giving up kickoffs past the 30 consistently and a lot past the 35. But on the flip side, they're not getting to the 30 often. So they're losing that battle. I'd have to check the exact yardage week by week. I'd have to calculate every kickoff. But I would say safely they're losing that by at least 5 yards per game on average, per kickoff on average. That's half a first down. I mean, that adds up over the course of a game and the course of a season. And Devin Duvernay, God bless him, he catches the ball. That's an upgrade over Velus Jones. He did have the nice 48-yard return on Sunday, but he's averaging less than 26 yards per return, and that's with the 49-yarder in there. And on punt, listen, he catches it. He'll give you anywhere from 7 to 10 yards. It's just there's no splash. There's no splash plays whatsoever. And, look, teams are kicking away from Luther Burden. I would too, but long term, I think you got to find something better back there. But what you really can control and be better at is the coverage part of it. Stop giving up 35-yard returns consistently. You just have to be better with your lane integrity and obviously tackling. Several missed tackles in the last game against Baltimore, and they've had a lot of penalties on special teams. Blocks in the back. They had a legal low block on a rare good return. I think Duvernay got to the 33, 34. That drive starts at the 17 because of a personal foul. I mean, in today's NFL, if you're starting inside your own 20 on a kickoff, one of two things happen. One, it was an atrociously blocked return or the returner did something reckless. Or two, you had a penalty. And yet, I feel like the Bears somewhat frequently are inside their own 20 and certainly inside their own 30 when they're starting these drives. And that adds up after a while, especially when your opponent is starting on the plus or at least the 30 or better pretty consistently. And then on top of that, while you haven't missed a lot of kicks this year, the two you have missed this year, or the two Cairo has missed, has been from 50 plus. One he doinked in week 1. It was from 50. He's in range there. He can make that kick. Okay, whatever. The one at the end of the half, though, I get it. 58 on a fire drill kick is not a gimme, even for a big-legged kicker. But to kick it short, and I actually thought he struck it fairly well for him, I don't know, man. Like, I've defended this guy. I've even said, listen, he's better than a lot of alternatives because and I still believe this, when he's in range, he's pretty damn accurate. He is. The numbers show that. but there are kicks that he can't make or can't even attempt that you see being made consistently. You guys watch Chris Boswell, Sunday Night Football? I think he had like 3 56-yarders. Like, it just boom, boom, boom. Like, you're like sweating out a 56-yarder. That's like right on the edge of his range. We saw him come up short on a 58-yarder. This kicker debate, it didn't really get brought up on Monday, but big picture, like, I don't know. Do you just give Jake Moody the keys and see what happens? I get it's a risk, but it's less of a risk knowing that Cairo is a 33-year-old weak-legged kicker. It'd be one thing if he was 27, be like, well, he doesn't have the strongest leg, but he's reliable. How long is he going to kick in this league? His leg's not going to get stronger as he gets older. Jake Moody has flaws. He struggled in San Francisco, but he's been good here. You would just hate to lose that guy, and he'd be really good somewhere else as a young, potentially ascending talented kicker. And then at the end of the season, you're like, oh, crap, we need a kicker. Like, that would really suck. So keep an eye on this. I'm more concerned in the short term on the return stuff. You got to start winning that battle more frequently. But big picture, this kicker situation's starting to get pretty interesting. All right, what is the biggest thing on this team that must be cleaned up? Notice I'm not really pointing to specific individuals. Obviously, a lot of players are intertwined with all this. The kickers, Devin Duvernay, Caleb Williams with the red zone stuff and the penalties, other players. So just biggest thing. And if you want to just say a player in his play, that's fine. But what do you think is the biggest thing that must get cleaned up? I think if you cut down on the penalties and improve in the red zone, it would make a big difference. A big difference. And those are things that you can get better at. And yes, the defense is paid to make money, or they're making money too. But 5 for 16 in the red zone, that's atrocious. Even 8 for 16 is below average, but that's 3 more touchdowns. That's 12 more points. 4 points extra per drive instead of kicking field goals. That adds up. That absolutely adds up. All right, that's going to do it for Chicago Bears now. 3 areas that the Bears need to clean up if they want to go from being this average, above average-ish team to a good team, which I think is achievable. Hopefully they can do it. Bear down. All righty.
Big plays on defense, especially third down or third and long from Chef Spencer.
Third down defense has been excellent. Second in the NFL. There have been a couple like the Huntley 2nd and 22, 3rd and 7. That was a tough pill to swallow. Certainly, they did give up a 3rd and 13 to Washington, I think. So there's been a couple, but they've been very good on third down defensively.
The constant missed tackles are a problem from DC Viper.
That really stands out on special teams. I don't view this Bears team as a bad tackling team necessarily on defense. I can't think of that being a major issue. I mean, you're never going to be perfect. Bring back Tyler Scott. Why?
Yeah. I'll reemphasize this, and I don't even think that's like the biggest thing that needs to be cleaned up. I just wanted to improve. Like, we went into last offseason, and again, it was Shane Waldron, Matt Eberflus, that whole whatever you want to call that coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
You came in with a lot of weapons. And again, some of them didn't work out. Gerald Everett, wherever he is now, clearly was a bust. Keenan Allen wasn't what he was this year, all this stuff. This year, again, you load up on the weapons, and it's just, I just want to see, again, the Bears have clearly made investments into it. I want to see the fruits of the labor of your investment work out. Because your point, the offensive line, we're seeing the fruits of the investment. Clearly, Joe Thuney's been a positive upgrade. I think Drew Dahlman, outside of the snapping snafu or whatever you want to call it, that's been a pretty good signing. Jonah Jackson's at least been better than Nate Davis at guard.
Jonah, really since week 1 when he was terrible, has been pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he's been very good. Darnell, outside of, some moments here and there, he's had some lapses. I don't know if he has a single penalty though since coming back from the injury. So he's been good. Left tackle is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we can really pin the offensive issues on the O-line that frequently. The first month of the year, I think the run game stuff, but I think that a lot of that was schematically, they were trying to find their identity in the run game, which they've done a better job at. So
it's just, you invested in Colston Loveland. He was your first round pick. I can shut it down for you, Chipper. Oh, you're stealing something from us.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going to take 2 skill guys to start the draft, you need to get more out of them. Period.
Yeah,
I know they're they're not. It's not just about this year with Colston Loveland and Luther Burden, but they should be more productive than they are.
Agreed. And look, Shemar Turner's out for the rest of the year, torn ACL. Ozzie Trapillo, you're using in sub packages as an extra tight end. It would be nice if Luther Burden could be the 1 second-round pick that contributes in a meaningful way, because it doesn't look like Ozzie's going to.
Yeah, not right now. You're hoping maybe next year he's one of your starting tackles. Him and ideally, like him or Darnell can play left, the other one plays right, but
Yeah.
it's clearly in the short term not going to happen.
You're paying DJ Moore an absurd amount of money. Listen, I get that Rome's emerged. Can he be a reliable too?
Yeah,
Olamide Zaccheaus, like, it's fine, but
yeah.
to be honest, out of all your receivers, he's probably met expectations the second best outside of Rome.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying him nothing. So the fact that he's at least, catches a few balls every week, I mean, for $1.5 million player, that's kind of all you can really expect.
And again, I'm not blaming Caleb. I'm not blaming Ben. It's probably a combination of the receivers, but
no, it's everything. I mean,
everything.
I mean, Caleb's not blameless. Ben's not blameless. The receivers aren't blameless. They're, Colston Loveland on one of those intentional groundings. It was at the end of the first half when they had to burn their last time out. It's a choice route. Well, in that situation, it's a hot read, so Caleb's got to get rid of it. Based on not only the leverage of the coverage, but also, in more cases than not, you're trying to target the sidelines. I'm very confident he's supposed to break out there, and he didn't.
Yep.
Now, he's a rookie. I mean, he's not going to be perfect. It's a choice route. It's a chemistry thing. But, like, to your point, like, who's going to be that second guy that builds that rapport with Caleb Williams? I mean, you should get more out of DJ. I think there's been moments, but for what he makes, you're not getting enough out of. Colston Loveland is a top 10 pick. I think usually when they throw to him, good things happen, but it's not a high volume. And Luther Burden had his one big game, and other than that, it's a play here and there. Now he's concussed, so we'll see when he's back. But, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you find that second dynamic guy that you can trust consistently, you could be cooking with gas, especially now that the run game has woken up. So, but until that happens, you're gonna have your limitations. So, all right, good show today. The sky is not falling. This is a 4-3 football team. You got a chance to go beat the Bengals 5-3, come home and play the Giants. So we'll see if they can right the ship here after their 4-game streak got snapped. We will be back tomorrow. Plenty to discuss then as well. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, bear down.